What's going on YouTube? It's Masex back with another video. Continuing the series, we're going to be looking at none other than the edge rushers. A premium position for any NFL head coach. Edge rushers are highly valued, especially in today's pass-happy league. You got to have some guys that can go get after the quarterback. So that's what we're going to be looking at. These are my top 5 rankings. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, support the channel. You know what I'm saying? Not only will it help this channel grow, but I deeply appreciate it. Without further ado, let's get to it. All right, and let's look at the edge rushers that I have ranked. Top 5, starting from 5, working our way to number 1. Just like I said in my last video, some of these guys, depending on the scheme, you're going to see they're technically listed as linebackers. But for the sake of simplicity, last video, stand-up linebackers, this video is going to be called edge rushers, all right? Now at number 5, we have Nolan Smith. Round 1, pick number 30 to the Eagles. From UGA, of course, 6'2", listed 238 pounds. Was a 2-year starter at UGA. Probably the best defenses we've seen historically. And he was a 2-year starter on both teams. Now, he started the first 8 games, had to sit the rest of the season due to a pec injury, but highly touted out of high school. Was actually the #1 recruit in 2019. And for good reason. I mean, he's a freak athlete. If you watched his 40-yard dash, 4.39 with a 1.52 split, which is more appropriate for edge rushers, how quick they can fly and accelerate off the ball. A 1.52, which is crazy. Regardless of his size, 238 is pretty small for an edge rusher, but he plays with more strength than you would think. He's actually pretty good in the run game for sure. Definitely uses his hands in a very explosive, strike-like way, and he's just hard to move off of his spot. How much of a workload will he be able to get at the next level? Will he have to beef up? May have to add some mass to his frame, but he's one of those flyers, man, where he could really just be a sack specialist on 3rd down and get 12, 13 sacks in his prime years. All right, at number 4, we have Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. Drafted in round 1, 13th pick overall to the Green Bay Packers. He has the size, 6'5", 272. His nickname, for what it's worth, is Hercules. His teammates named him. The type of shape that he's in, the physique that he's been able to build. I like Van Ness because he disrupts the pass and the run, so he has value to both. Very high ceiling. To me, he's kind of like the Anthony Richardson, but just on the defensive end, where he has one of the higher ceilings in this 23 class, but I do feel that he has a lot of bust potential as well. Game to game, he's not he hasn't shown the consistency that you want to see. He has a lot of the good traits, very high ceiling. He has a relentless motor. A lot of his plays on film are effort plays at the end of the day. He fires out of his stance. It makes sense because his film matches his excellent combine that he had. He's very athletic. One of the best athletes in the entire draft. To be 270 plus and posting the numbers that he posted at the combine. As I mentioned, just consistency, finishing plays. There's a lot of plays he could have made, but he just did not finish at the end of the day. And then I want to see him use his hands more. That's something that he could develop, working with coaches at the next level, working on the hand skills, getting those hands off of him, disengaging. But Lucas Van Ness is the real deal. All right, and at number 3, I have Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. Drafted 7th overall to the Las Vegas Raiders. 6'6", 271. First thing you notice on film is just how long and rangy he is. He looks like a basketball player out there. He was originally a Texas A&M signee, transferred over to Texas Tech after a few years. Very disruptive senior year overall. 14 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. He led the Big 12 in QB pressures, so he knows how to get in the backfield. Has that wingspan. He can create separation from that tackle because those arms are so long. Really good quickness. Plays how he looks. He looks like a bodybuilder, and he plays with a lot of strength and explosiveness. Also one of those high upside type of guys. I think he's an inside-outside type of edge rusher. Really good stab. That stab is what's used to get the offensive lineman off balance. You rip around and That's where he's making a lot of his plays. So he's hard on the backside against the run because he's so explosive and athletic. Now, he is explosive, but he's not elite in his explosion. That first step, for example, isn't the quickest or most explosive, but it is pretty good overall. He has really good hand skills. He does need to add more skills to his overall arsenal, work on his rush packages and whatnot, counter moves. But I mean, obviously, 7th overall, the NFL views him as a potential all-pro-like player, and I can agree with that. All right, now we're getting to my top 2. And at number 2, we have Myles Murphy out of Clemson, drafted 28th overall in the first round to the Bengals. Now, Myles Murphy is someone who I feel the last year has been slept on. Didn't have the most explosive junior year in the world, but just a year or two with him starting out the gate as an 18-year-old, that means a lot. And I really look for guys who are able to start for Power 5 teams as freshmen and sophomores. That really adds a lot of value to their stock, in my opinion. He has also the productive high school career. 5-star recruit, #1 defensive end, went to Hillgrove High School in Georgia, which is a powerhouse of NFL players. Bradley Chubb, Evan Ingram, Kenyon Drake. Started immediately. I really like his resume, his experience. He's played a lot of snaps in the college ranks. Excellent size, very athletic, 270 pounds. 2021, his sophomore year, was his best year. I mean, if he was able to come out after a sophomore season, he probably is a top 7, top 8 pick. But like I said, the NFL size that he has, the versatility, that inside-outside, excellent long arm rush. I like him in the run and the pass. I really think that he has the keys and the ceiling where he could be a perennial all-pro player. And my #1 guy, at this point, you know who it is. Drafted 3rd overall to the Houston Texans, which means that as a Colts fan, I'm going to have to see him twice a year at least, for at least 5-6 years most likely. That's Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. 6'3", looked like he bulked up to 253, so wanting to add some size. Size was one of the question marks. 5-star out of the 2020 class. Arguably the best player in college football in 2021, his sophomore year, where he finished 5th, but he's a defensive player. Really rare, really hard to win the Heisman. But I do think that he should have won the Heisman over his teammate Bryce Young in 2021. That's how dominant of a season his sophomore year was. He's also one of those guys, made an impact on a powerhouse team as a freshman, 18 years old, freshman All-American, 3-year starter for Nick Saban. And if Nick Saban trusts you as an 18-year-old freshman, I mean, that also means a lot. SEC Defensive Player of the Year 2021 and 2022. Of course, it's hard to duplicate a 2021 season, so a lot of people feel like he fell off a little bit. I don't feel so. I mean, that's just really hard to put up those numbers 2 years in a row. 17.5 sacks. 10 sacks is still nothing to sleep on, what he posted his junior year. So, I mean, just through and through, he's explosive. Didn't have the best combine, I don't think. I think that people were expecting a little bit more explosion, maybe a quicker 40, but nonetheless, the NFL clearly didn't care with him going #3 overall. I'm not the hugest combine. I love watching it for entertainment, but I'm not going to just drastically move up a player or move down a player because of how they're running with an Under Armour shirt and underwear on, basically. But, I mean, with the resume, the production, the potential that Will Anderson Jr. has, I think in his ceiling, his prime years, he can be a 14, 15, 16 sack a year type of guy. And that's why he's #1 on my list. All right, well, these are my top 5 edge rushers for the 23 class. A lot of ballers. I see a lot of potential, a lot of guys that can even make impacts right out the gate as rookies. So if you made it this far in the video, I deeply appreciate it. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. And I deeply appreciate the support. We're still on the road to 1K, so make sure you like and subscribe and help support the channel overall. This will also keep you up to date when I post videos in the future. So with all that said, hope y'all have a good one, and I'm out of here.